Hi everyone, welcome to Dave's Bonsai. On today's episode, my logo comes to life. I'll show you a close-up of my business card, or more precisely, the logo for Bonsai Acres. So I run a little small mom and pop, well, I'm the pop and the mom, of Bonsai Acres trees. I've got some trees out at Bonsai Acres. If you've not seen those episodes, check out the link for the Bonsai Acres episode. Some trees growing in the ground. I have some trees here that I'm growing. I bring them to the workshops I work on with Minnesota Bonsai Society, and I sell the trees to new folks into bonsai. And I just finished a one-on-one workshop with Ken. Ken and I got together today in my garage. He was nice enough to come over here, and we sat down and we made a bonsai forest. Here's the picture of his bonsai out in my backyard garden. It turned out pretty nice. We got 11 trees in there, I think. We got a couple of little rocks for some texture. These are young. They were bare-rooted larch from a nursery that I get them from in Michigan, and they are ready to take root and do some great things. So all of these trees were bare-rooted and sent to me with no buds coming out. They're just pushing out their early growth. The roots were just waking up, and as I told Ken, they were just starting to show some white, and I showed him some of those white roots, so they were waking up. So we just literally slip potted them from my collection of larch trees in my baskets. He picked out his favorite 11, and we put together a forest. What a great time. You know, I can't say enough how much I love working with people with bonsai. The hardest part about doing this on the camera is that you're all out there and we can't interact. When Ken and I were here together for about 2.5 hours, we just got this forest together and talked bonsai, and it just felt like it was about 25-30 minutes in all. It just is such a blast, and I thoroughly enjoy that. But I also love bringing you Bonsai Acres and Dave's Bonsai. And today, I'm going to try to make my logo. That's right, I'm going to try to make Bonsai Acres. Now, this will be a very young iteration of Bonsai Acres, but I hope it grows over the years and becomes the centerpiece of my Bonsai Acres business. It's kind of my logo. So we did the art first, and now we're going to have life imitating art. So I have my inspiration here, my business card with the forest, and as I show you a picture of that again, we have what looks to be 5 trees. Now I think I might beef it up a little bit to 7 trees. I might put 4 or 5 on the right side, and then I might put 2 or 3 on the left side and see how the forest looks out, but it'll basically be my logo. So I have that for my motivation, my inspiration, and so here we have a stack of 12-inch plus larch from my nursery in Michigan that I get them from. And over here, over in front of me, I have the 6-inch or so larch, 6 to 8 inch. And we're going to find the best 5 to 7 trees that I think will make this forest planting come to reality. I have 2 pots to choose from. Now these are small, and this one is actually quite big for these trees. But I want this forest to grow and have a lot of room to grow because they're young trees, and so we're going to use these trees. This is a ceramic pot. It's not an oval. It's kind of a rounded rectangle, so almost oval feeling. And it's a really good size and a good depth. I like this one. I'm contemplating using the mica pot because it is oval and it's a little deeper and just a little bit more space to work with. And it looks a little bit more like the logo pot than this one. Looking like it's a real shallow oval pot on the logo. We're going to pull out some trees and we're going to look at them together, and then we're going to go ahead and make this tree forest logo a reality. So most of the trees in the forest are really pretty straight up and down, so I don't have to worry about a lot of movement in these trees. So if there are some trees here in the forest that have some subtle movement, I'm not too concerned about that. But I do want a couple of my thicker trees that we can go ahead and get some immediate size or a little bit bigger size than some of these smaller ones. And all of these have some good, nice growth. This is a super big, tall one. This one does not have a lot of young growth, but there is some white tips on this one, so this might be one right here. I might pick some that have a little bit more of that growth showing already. This one has a little bit more fine feeder roots. We might try that one. This one looks really nice too. Some fine feeder roots and just some white tips on that one. So that's 3. I think this back one here looks pretty big. Again, some fine feeder roots here and some white tips. That one might be doable. And this guy right here doesn't look very tall, but I like the growth on this one. And there's some nice small white feeder roots on that one. So there's my bigger trees. So we can move that aside. And then we have these trees. So these are going to be the smaller batch. And some of these have a little bit more texture to them, like in the back. And these smaller ones did come with more roots. I like this one maybe for one of the back trees that make it look like I have more trees, but it's because the branching is there. So I'm going to pull that one out. I like this one too. It's a smaller, stouter one, but it's thicker base there. This looks like a pretty nice one. That's 3. 3 and 4 makes the, no, I got 3 and 5. I've got 8 trees or so right now. And this one looks like a really nice tree too with bigger roots. And this one as well. So let's put this back here as well. So I have 5 medium trees, I have 4 small ones. That's 9. I'm already more than I expected, but I want some to choose from. I'm going to grab my soil. I just finished working with Andrew Robeson recently on some forests and some other plantings. When Andrew was in town as a part of Minnesota Bonsai Society, we were able to work with Andrew Robeson. It was really great. And he told me this trick with soil. So I'm going to tell you the trick. So when you put a forest together, usually I would put the forest together with dry soil, and you're trying to hold up a whole bunch of trees and like use your fingers and maybe your chin, your mouth, and you're holding these trees up. So there's a couple ways that you can approach putting the trees in the ground. So one of the approaches that I've done a couple of times is kind of the coil method. And so you take your tree, and down by the bottom, you go ahead and you wrap this lightly around the base and kind of make a loose coil around whatever roots there are. Now this tree does not have a lot of roots right now, so I'm really not hugging around any roots. But there, if you can see the coil of that, I've got a nice big base here. Because I made the coil bigger and bigger, and it's barely around the root structure at all. But then if you put that in your pot, and you have that coil down below your tree, and add a little bit of soil, it helps to hold the tree up. Now this isn't quite holding up all by itself yet. Let me see if I can make it hold up. Always harder to do live with camera going than on my own. Oh, it's almost staying up there. There we go. So without my hands, this tree with very little roots is standing up because of the coil on this tree. And then you put some soil in there, then it's going to hold its spot really, really well. So you're not really tying the tree into the pot, but you're giving it this coil-based bottom. So if you can see that against my hand, it's kind of making a coil and holding on to the tree. And then a couple years after my next repot, in about 2 years, you clip away all that soil as carefully as possible and you make it work. Now the other way to put your trees in the pot is just with soil and hope that they stand up. But a lot of times they don't stand up with the really dry soil. So what we have here is a bucket of the fines that I'm going to use for this planting. And what I did is I soaked it all with water. And so when you put water in here and then you go ahead and scoop it up and put the soil around the tree, the wet soil can kind of form almost clay-like. It kind of can form a shape and hold the tree up. So I'm going to see if there's enough water in here, and then we're going to start looking at our design and seeing what we like. So I've got the soil all nice and moist. So when you go ahead and scoop it in there, it's going to mound up a little bit. It'll be really nice and easy to hold up your tree. Now, I'm keeping a close eye on my business card here. And I think I'm not sure. I think I want to go with this one. So we need 3 main trees on the right side for sure. And I'm not sure which ones those are going to be just yet. And we're going to probably have a cluster of 3, something like this. And again, this is hard for me to hold all these out here. So we're going to go ahead and grab a scoop here. And I'm going to put my first layer of soil on the bottom, nice and wet. So I have a nice little layer of soil down at the bottom here. So this appears to be my thickest, boldest tree. And we're going to go ahead and put that about a third over on the pot. I'm going to put it right about here, and I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of soil right there, and just like that, I have a tree standing up. Okay, so I don't have to hold it now. Okay? Now my trees go pretty straight up, and that's showing a little bit of a curve, so we're going to spin this around here. I want to show this maybe just like this, growing pretty much straight up and down, right there. So there's my first primary tree. Now there's a tree off to the left of the front tree, or it looks like it might be the front tree, that's a little bit taller. So I think that'll be this one. And so we'll put some soil around that one and see if that can hold true right there. It's got a little curvature to that trunk, so we're going to play around a little bit. Here we go. So I have my forest. Now, my forest beginning. What usually happens with forests for a lot of people is they tend to spread them all out and they have equal distance between every tree. So we typically don't want that. We want them to be a little bit closer together. So this forest, again on my card, looks like it has 3 primary trees. So this would be the next primary tree right back here. And now my business card is taking shape. I've got my 3 trees. Something right up here, looks like we have to shove this one over a little bit more to the left to get more of an accurate representation of the card. Now I have what looks like to be a perfect triangle here, and I don't want that. But we're going to go ahead and we're going to take another tree over here and start to put this other side together. This is a really nice tree here with a really good root system. I'm going to put that one right there. So I got my mound there. So there's the second tree, or the one tree on the left-hand side. Now that one's taller and skinnier than the outside one, so maybe that should be the outside one, and I should have a shorter, stouter one on the outside here. Maybe that should be the taller one, huh? I think this one's too bushy. We might hold that one off for a little bit. I'm going to cut off this lower set of branches here. There. So now the logo has a little bit of sloppiness, if you will, like not sloppy like in messy, but like there's like a twig down there or new forest growth. That could be a really, really tiny young one, which could be something like this. So I'm wondering if I cut this one shorter and I grow this one too in the forest, that'll be kind of that growth smaller one, and it'd be a grouping of 3 back here. So let me make a little bit of room for this one. I'm going to cut this lower branch off of that one. Okay, so now you have this 2 main trees here with this little tiny thing in back. Now in the logo, this tree is taller than this one. So what if I go ahead and do this? Right there. And there we have tall, shorter, and this little sprig down here, which we could even go smaller because it's this pine tree that's kind of growing in the back there a little bit. Then we have our 3 on the other side. And again, there's another small one in the back, it looks like. So we're going to go ahead and we're going to add something to the back to represent that growth back there. And again, going back to my comment earlier, a lot of people make the mistake of putting their trees too far apart and making them very uniform. And so I'm going to put these 2 trees really close together to get kind of that idea that they are really close to each other. And then we can see them, but they're their own tree, but we can see them. And this tree is kind of blent off this way a little bit in the logo. And again, this tree is the tallest, this one's a little bit shorter. And then this one's a little bit taller. So this is kind of my logo right here. Here we go. Tree, tree, and this little sprig of something down here, which still is too big. So let's just be bold and cut it even shorter. And that's a cluster of 3. And there's even a little mound down there as to suggest we have a rock there. So I'm going to go get a rock, and I'm going to put a rock back here too and get a little rock on there. And there's some clutter down below on this tree forest down here. But again, it looks primarily like a forest. Now, we don't like clumps of 4, but we have 4 here and 3 here, which is 7. So I'm still wondering if I just go ahead then and add this other bushy tree here or another tree in the background, that could become just the thickness of the back forest area. I'm going to cut off some of these lower branches here. We got some real nice roots on this one. And I'm wondering if I just kind of come in here and again get some of my wet soil and put that in there. Let's step back and take a look at this now. Okay, so we have this forest of 3 trees back here, kind of boom, boom, boom. This one kind of leans out a little bit more. You got those 2 close ones there, and these 2 right here will be the main trees right here. These 3, those will be in the background, so you won't be able to see them as much in the future. Okay, so as I look at my logo card, it's getting all dirty. I've got 1, 2, and the 3, and the thickness back here, because the forest is really thick up here, and by what? Another tree? And there is 3 tips over here and 2 tips over here, so that suggests 5 trees. And now I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 trees. So I have an even number, but you can't see this one very much, and these 2 are real close together, creating that thickness back there. Almost like they're going to be a twin trunk section here. And there we go. Let me go grab a couple of rocks and we'll finish up our little logo forest. We got our main tree here, and this is nice and straight. This one curves a little bit more, but that's okay. I don't mind that curving a little bit more. I could twist it around to get rid of some of that curve. Now we've got some rocks here. So there is kind of a rock that looks like it's kind of coming, or could possibly be coming right here. And I kind of like that big rock right there by where that tree's growing. That's kind of nice. Okay. And then there's a couple of things in the front too where it makes it look like it's a little bit rocky here. Where if I put a rock like this and a rock like that, we've got kind of a little bit of rocky section there. I think this one's too smooth looking. Let's get this one like this. Because the bottom of the logo here has a little bit of a smoothness, like there's rocks here. So I like the jaggedy look. Maybe 2 rocks is too much. All right. There we have the Bonsai Acre logo planting. I'm wondering if there's too much of an even plane here, that these should be pushed back just a little bit, so this is more the predominant piece, although the whole logo looks like it's pretty level where it's supposed to be. This tree should be a lot taller, so hopefully this will get a little bit taller here. What I could do to manipulate that is we'll go down a little bit shorter with this one, go down a little bit shorter with this one, and we'll go down shorter with this one. There we go. We even go shorter and shorter and shorter. There we go. right. So I have kind of a little bit of that slight triangular shape here on this side of the forest. We've got a little bit of a triangular shape here too. Let's go down one more here. With that there, we've got these trees back there for the background. They could be a little bit smaller. Cutting those tips off. And then we have that little cluster back there. And so here we have it. We have that little piece back there. When we rotate around, you know, we've got a kind of a cluster of trees all in one section, so it's not quite as nice depth of field right now. But from the front, as the logo is on the card, it looks relatively okay. I think we've got this tree. Go out a little bit further out here and here. There we go. We have the Bonsai Acres Logo tree ready to be watered and put on the benches. What a fun little project this was. Well, there we have it. A fun little project. I've been thinking about this for over a year, and I have all these larches that I got this year, using them for some workshops. And what a perfect day, overcast day. Worked in the garage today. Thanks to Ken for hanging out and working on his workshop. That was awful fun to do. Can't wait to see his growth on his forest. And here's my logo forest. So some slight changes to the logo, but we'll see as this grows if we can make it look more and more like the logo on the card. The trees, of course, will thicken up, get closer together, and who knows what we'll add in the future. So there is the logo Larch Forest. What fun. And hey, that'll do it for this one. So hey, take care of you, take care of your bonsai, and we'll see you very, very soon on the next one.